Alright lads and lasses, here we are, episode 2 now of our COVID dashboard. As you can see, I've got my Power BI version of it up. This is looking at just the US data. I'll show you how to pull the rest of the global stuff in next. But you can start to see the impressions of what you can do different once you switch into Power BI versus Power Query within Excel. First thing you're going to need for today's video is Power BI. Where do I get my Power BI desktop from? That's the report authoring tool. Two options. You either get it from Microsoft's website, powerbi.microsoft.com, or you can use the Windows store, look up Power BI, and the one you want is Power BI Desktop. Alright, so you've managed to install Power BI Desktop. Next step, let's get back to our Excel and start bringing in the data. Here's my Excel spreadsheet from yesterday. I'm sure you all enjoyed being able to come in, go into your data tab, and hit refresh all. And it went away, updated your data, and brought through the latest set. Now we're in the query editor view that you remember from yesterday. We can see the steps we went through. We can click on the applied steps, go through them and see how the data set evolves over time until we got down to our nice trim 3-column data set, perfect for Power BI. Power BI, this whole tabular data modeling thing, it's all about having columns. As few columns as possible, but columns. Now to get this data set from Excel and into Power BI, what I need to do is to go to the advanced editor here on the home page, on the home tab. Click on the advanced editor and you can see the actual script that we're going through. In one of our future courses or some videos that we'll do in the future, I'll take you through what this actually means and how you can start writing your own scripting or doing your own M scripting. For now, we'll just grab this, copy it all. I'm going to choose Control C to copy it, or right click. So I've copied my script. What I'll do is I'm just going to put it in a notepad. Easiest place to paste it just for now. Copy and paste. Dead simple. Now I can close my Excel spreadsheet down. So I've got my script copied down and I've now got a blank Power BI desktop session open. What do I need to do with this? Well, we're going to get data and this time we're going to choose a blank query because I've got a query that I'm wanting to put in there. It's loaded up. You can see we've got query 1. Nothing's in here. What do? I go into advanced editor, of course, just like I did before. In Excel, all I have to do, select everything, and then I'm going to paste my script over it. Done. Right? If you remember, this is my global confirmed, isn't it? So global confirmed. One bit of data, this global confirmed, isn't going to help us really break away from Excel though, is it? What we need to be able to do, and what I promised you, was if we went back to the Johns Hopkins data set, you can see there were lots of other ones. So you saw the sample earlier where I'd used the US data from the deaths and confirmed. What we'll do is we'll pull the rest of these global deaths and global recovered in, and we'll then see how that goes. So how can I quickly and easily bring in these ones as well? It's really easy actually. If we come back to our query stack here, I'm going to add a step. Just one last step to add here. I'm going to add a column. It's going to be a custom column. And I'm just going to call this data set. And this one is going to be global confirmed. I'm just going to click OK. So you've now see we've got a column, global confirmed is in it all the way. Lastly, let's just make sure that's text, just to be good and with our habits. So now we've got confirmed. And what we're going to do is we're going to pull the other two in from the global data set, and then we're going to put them together into a single table. So doing that, Really easy. First thing we're going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate this table. Make sure you choose duplicate, not reference. We want to duplicate it this time. I'm going to duplicate it. You see we've now got global confirmed 2. I'm going to change that to global deaths. And then I'm going to duplicate it one more time. And this time I'm going to rename this to global recovered. Okay, so I've now got 3 tables of data and you're all going to say, aye, but they're all the same. That's not good to me. And honestly, right now, you'd be correct. But it's not a problem. All we have to do to fix this is if we can, back to our John Hopkins data set, you'll see, if we're looking at just the globals, right now we've got confirmed global, we want to bring in deaths global and recovered global. So all I really have to do is to go back to my queries for deaths. If I pick on the source line, we can see it's all handily color coded with IntelliSense. And all I really need to do is to delete confirmed and replace it with deaths and hit enter, and it'll go away and it'll update that data set. And this is now looking at deaths. I can do the same with recovered. So click on recovered, click on source. Here, let's remove confirmed and add recovered. And hit enter and it'll go away and it'll get the data. And hopefully if we click on the change steps type 3, change type 3 for each of them, we've now got a data set still. And all we really need to do is change what the data set is saying. So if I come back to me added custom 2, you can see here we've got the column name of data set and it's going to be global confirmed. This one, I'll change it to global deaths. And the recovered, go exactly the same onto here and change it to recovered. Alright, Mr. Fancy Pants, here I'll say. You've now got 3 tables. You promised you were going to have us one great table with everything pulled together. Well, that's not a problem, is it? All we need to do is scan back to the Home tab and we're going to append queries. We're going to append queries as new and we're going to pick for 3 or more data sets. 3 or more tables. So you can see we've got recovered's already in. Let's pull in deaths and let's pull in confirmed. Click OK. And we've created a new table called append and it's just these mashed together. So we're going to call this global data set. So now I've got my global data set. What I don't want to be doing is bringing these other 3 into my report. So what I'll do is I'll right click on this one. I'm going to untick the enable load. I'm going to do the same for deaths, untick enable load, and the same for recovered. Untick enable load. Whatever you do, do not untick it, include in report refresh. That's great if it's a reference table that the new data is not going to be there. If you untick that, when you hit refresh, it'll just use the version it's already got. So you definitely don't want that to happen. So now I've got rid of all my other tables that I'm using. The only one that's going to be brought through into Power BI is this global data set. So what I'll do is I'm going to close and apply it. And that's going to pull this into my Power BI file. Going back to my Power BI, you can see it's applying it. It's going to read through everything from Johns Hopkins. It'll get me my nice data set through. Alright, so let's repeat what we did yesterday. If I choose to bring in, let's say a matrix, nice and easy. Everyone loves a bit of a matrix, don't they? It's a pivot table to you and me. For my matrix, had column and state, didn't we, along the top. Let's put the date keys in for the rows. You'll see it's done exactly the same as it did before with the other one. Just want to pick the date key. And then if we put in the cases for the values, and this time, what we need to do as well is add a data set. in as the column as well. And we'll expand that down in the columns. So you can see now we've got, for each country, we've got the counts against it. To be more like we did yesterday, we need a slicer, don't we? So let's pick slicer, and you see it'll put it where it thinks it'll fit. Let's drag our country state into it, and then let's pick the UK to start with. Let's go all the way down to the UK. Here we can, UK. So we can see, got some totals on there. It's not going to make any sense to have totals for here. So what we need to do is to get rid of them. But for the sake of this, we'll leave it for now. But you can see I've now got me recovered figures, I've got me deaths, and I've got me confirmed. Straight away, I hope you notice, this is one of the issues that we're finding with this data set. A lot of countries don't seem to be recording their recovered figures properly. Getting pretty good at recording deaths, getting pretty good at recording confirmed, but with an inaccurate figure for recovered, you have to question if it's worth including this if you're going to do a proper business level dashboard. Just putting it out there for you, have a think. While we're here, let's have a look at what's actually on this screen. This is the report layout page. So this is how I'm starting to lay out pages of my report. And we can see this is page 1. I could click the plus and add another page. I've got my fields list, which is my list of tables that I've got, and each column within the tables. You see the dates slightly different here. We'll talk about that later. Next to that, you've got your visualizations to start with, and some interesting things you can do with specific pages in terms of drill through. Next to it, you've got the filter pane. This is where you can actually enable people to make changes to the reports. You can remove slices, free up valuable report estate by moving it to the filters pane. But we'll cover that in a separate video in detail, because I think it's far too much to go through today. That's the report page. Next to it, you've got your data view. So this is like where I can view it as a table of data, almost as you would within Excel. And then lastly, I've got my relationships view. In this case, we've only pulled one table through, so I've just got a one table view. If you had multiple ones, you'd have multiple tables here. This is your all tables view that you always have by default, but as you get to more complex data models, you might want to bring in new layouts and just do specific views, especially if you're going into, say, a multi-fact relationship. But again, that's another topic for another day. So now we're back on the report page. It's time to start actually dealing with the issue we've got, which is because of the way the data sets were, I've got confirmed, I've got deaths, and I've got recovered. What I really need to do is to be able to actually put them together properly in a data set. And the way you do that is with DAX. Now, DAX is the language of Power BI. And when you go out and you're looking around the internet and saying, oh, how do I get into Power BI? Everyone's going to tell you, learn DAX. And I'm no different. DAX is the key. You need to learn your DAX. What I will always say is you have to learn some M as well. And M is the Power Query side. So you've covered that with yesterday's video. Today we're going to do a little bit of DAX, but nothing too scary. So let's get going. First step, let's right click on Global Dataset, create a new measure. We need a base measure for this. So the first one we're going to do, dead easy. We're just going to have a sum. So I've chosen right click, new measure. Let's give it a name. Sum of cases. And that's going to equal sum of cases. Ah, hey man, this DAX is dead easy, this like. What's everyone complaining about? That's going to get me a basis for it. So that's a sum that we've written. Okay, so far so good. Now I want to know me confirmed, me deaths, me recovered. So what I need to do is to create a new measure, and this one we'll call confirmed. We're not going to spell. And this is going to be a calculate. It's going to calculate sum of cases, which if you remember was a measure we've already written, and this time we want it to be where data set equals global confirmed, and then close the brackets on me calculate. So now I've got a confirmed measure written. Now I'm lazy, I don't want to have to type that out all over again many times, so I'm just going to right click on it, or sorry, highlight it all, Control C, and next time let's go and create a new measure. So when my new measure comes up, I'm going to hit Control V, paste over it. This is going to be my deaths, and that's global deaths, isn't it? Hit enter, and then one last time, new measure, Control V, and this is going to be recovered, isn't it? Oh, let's select that properly. Recovered. Recovered. Okay, so what we've done is we've given a count, we've got a sum of cases, and then we've gone through and effectively we've just put on a filter against it. So we're filtering it down. So give me the sum where it's either globally recovered, global deaths, or globally confirmed. Dead easy. Right, couple of things. You didn't need to create the sum of cases. I've gone through and created this because I want you to understand that DAX is additive, so you can be really efficient with your code. You can have your base measure and then reuse it multiple times. The other thing you can do with this is if ever anything changed and need to change from a sum of cases, I can make that change in one place, and then all the other formulae that reference it will also be updated. Handy hint. Now I've got my measures written that I want for this basic one here. What I need to do next is start thinking in terms of best practice. The right things to do are to start hiding things that I don't want to be involved in the analysis. So this base measure that we've written, sum of cases, if we right click on it, you can see we can hide it. So let's hide that. Let's also hide data set. I don't want people to be able to pick the data set, so I'm going to right click on it and hide it. And lastly, I'm going to hide cases, because cases we don't really want people using in here. Now I've got that stuff hidden. If we pick, let's go to a new report page and let's see just how easy it is to start doing this stuff. So let's bring in our country state again. And oh, you can see Power BI has tried to work out what we mean by a country or state in this case. See, some of these, the Australia ones, it's not really working with. Doesn't like those areas, and we'll cover why, and I'll go through and I'll put a fix in and I'll show you what you need to do. But for the sake of this, it's not a problem. What I could do is I actually want to see the size of the dots, but based on how many people have recovered. And we can see how many people have recovered in each place. Now, as we can see from Spain, this is a problem, isn't it? Because that's going to be all the dates every day. And what we want for this chart is it to just be today or the most recent day. So what we can do is we can bring in the date key. And this is where we're going to use the filter pane. So let's drop the date key in here, and we'll use a relative filter, relative date. So I'm going to use onTick, include today, and is in the last one day. Let's apply that filter. And now we actually start to get, this is just today's date or today's data. It's not the easiest to read though, is it? Because I need 1,000 separate on that recovered. So I can click recovered. We can click to go to measure tools. And you can see we've got 1,000 separator in there. Let's put that in there. Let's do the same for the deaths. And let's do the same for the confirmed. Okay. What we can do though, is we can actually start to mix things up. So I can put in the tooltip, put the confirmed and the deaths in. Let's not be completely morbid, eh? But now we can actually hover over somewhere and we can see for Spain, 62,000 people have recovered. Unfortunately, 17,000 have died. Down to the UK, you can see we've been really positive. 344 people have recovered against the number of deaths and confirmed cases that we've had. But suddenly we've gone from a basic pivot table to this being able to cope with a map. The best way to deal with maps is to actually start to bring in the GPS coordinates. If you remember the Johns Hopkins data set, it had all the GPS in it. So what we'll do, or what I'll do next, is I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to unload this, and I'm going to reload the one that I did the US against. So now I've reloaded the file that I built, just showing the US data set at the moment. What they've got in the US is every county is reporting in its status. So that gives lots and lots of data points. You can plot those on a map. It gives a really rich set of information about what's going on. There's also some population information, so we can see actually the population of that county as well. This is the US data set. What I'm going to do before our next video is I'll pull together, bring the global stuff into this, and I'm going to mash the two together, see if you can work out how I would do that, and then we'll catch up, we'll go in. As you can see as well, some of the things I've got in here is I've put some tooltips in, so when you hover over, it gives you the county. Your map, your tooltips to actually hover over and have the visuals actually show you some information, really useful as well. And then being able to plot things on a map and have it all interact together and having everything like that. So I'll go through, we'll take you through some more detail of that next time, and we'll also start to talk about some of the best practices within Power BI Desktop and Power BI as a service. One last thing, remember, during this time of crisis, please make sure you stay at home and stay safe.